right now. So I guess we'll start with introductions. I know he usually has it go alphabetical, but I don't have a members list in front of me. So, oh, sorry about that. I'm going to silence my phone. So I'll introduce myself first. My name is Matt Caldy. I'm the vice chair and commissioner. Mike, do you want to go?
Recording in progress.
Sorry, I had to record the meeting. Sorry.
Good deal.
You want me to go ahead, Matt?
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Cool. Hi, I am Sam. I've been on the commission for about a little bit less than half a year. I work in the environmental restoration field, and I am a environmental and sustainability study and GIS student at IU, and I also have a permaculture designer certificate.
I guess Don, do you want to go next?
I'm a retired geologist, and this is my beginning of my third, halfway through my third year, I guess, on commission.
Yeah, I guess Mike, do you want to go next?
Sure. Mike Litwin. I'm a retired fishery biologist, and I have been on the Environmental Commission for longer than I care to admit.
All right, I guess Matthias.
I'm Matthias Benko. I joined the commission last month, I guess in June, and I'm a rising junior studying environmental and sustainability studies and geography at IU.
Awesome. Dave?
Yeah, I retired from SPIA, maybe 15 years ago. I was in the environmental science group there. I'm a plant ecologist. I moved to Bloomington in 1973. I was put on the Environmental Commission in 1974. And back then I served for 14 years and then went on sabbatical. And I guess now I've been on for another 4 or 5 years, something like that. And when people ask, when I have to fill out a form saying, who's your employer, I put my garden.
Awesome. Corey?
Sorry, I had to find the unmute button there. Hi, yeah, my name's Corey Ray. I'm the legislative coordinator for Sierra Club Hoosier chapter, and I've been on the commission for the last few months, and it's been a wild few weeks and months, but yeah, it's been fun. Great group of people. And I see here Matthias.
Awesome. Didania?
I'm Didamia Whitney. I'm retired English professor from Franklin College, but I taught environmental studies at Franklin for a number of years. And this is my second go round with the Environmental Commission. And I'm also a member of the Tree Commission.
Awesome. Linda, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Linda Thompson, the city liaison to the Environmental Commission and senior environmental planner with the Planning and Transportation Department.
And then Ben. Sorry, Ben, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Ben Sheriff, and I'm a SPIA fellow, and I'm getting my master's in public affairs and also environmental science and policy at the O'Neill School as well. And I'm a return Peace Corps volunteer, and I've been in these meetings for about a year now, almost.
Awesome. And I see Scott just popped in. Scott, do you want to give us a quick introduction?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful summer. This is Scott Shackleford. I'm a professor at IU. I have the honor of being the director of the Ostrom Workshop on campus there, and I chair the cybersecurity program. And when I was still practicing, did some environmental law. I actually taught that initially. So anyway, great to see everybody. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to approval of minutes. Do we have any changes to the minutes that were recently sent out?
One second. This is Dave Parkhurst. I forgot to mention that I'm doing this from Frankfort, Kentucky, where I'm down to work on my wife's farm. And I hope all the electronics will keep me on for the whole meeting, but we shall see.
All right. Fingers crossed. Let's see. If we don't have any changes to the
Yeah,
minutes.
there are no changes. I received comments from Mike, but no one else on the minutes. Sorry, I sent them out so late this month, but
All right. I guess I would accept motion to approve the minutes.
Moved.
Second.
Second.
Excellent. That moves us on to public comment. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak this evening? You get 5 minutes if you choose to do so. You raise your hand or throw something in the chat. We'll give that just a minute, just in case anybody wants to. But seeing nothing, I suppose we will move on to reports, starting with the Tree Commission. Damia, do you want to speak on the Tree Commission? Or?
Well, Dave really usually does it, but we haven't had our meeting yet this month. We're going to be meeting next week. It's just a fluke. We meet on the third Wednesday of the month, and it turns out that the third Thursday came before the third Wednesday.
That's happened several times this year, actually, that the first day of the month is a Thursday. So, yeah.
So one of the things that is going to be on the agenda is there's a group, it's something like the Bloomington Coalition for Tree Canopy or something like that. And apparently they're going to come and speak to the Tree Commission. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to say. The brief sketch of information that we saw is that they're all about planting trees. And so I think probably one of the things the Tree Commission is going to tell them is that planting trees is a really great thing, but you also have to plan for maintenance. You know, pruning, healthcare, all that kind of stuff. To me, you know, you can't just stick a tree in the ground. You have to nurture it, and that costs money. So we'll see what they have to say.
Awesome. Let's see. Next would be Monroe County EC. Is that usually Andrew? Linda, do you know if that one's?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Then I suppose we will move on to Pecos. Don, did they have a meeting? Did you attend that?
That was Tuesday. Yeah, I attended on Zoom. Matt Flaherty had to go to a meeting, so he went first. Talked. One of his primary message to this week was the city is pushing through a resolution about supporting labor. And let's see, that was pretty much what he had to say. And then he had to take off to go to his other meeting. Lauren spoke about the Bloomington Green Home Improvement Project, which I hope we could invite her to address our commission and brief us on it. But it basically, I mean, to me, it looks very good as far as looking at weatherization and energy reduction, emission reduction, issues of housing with a very strong position on making it, targeting the people in the community that cannot afford it to do this on their own. So I thought it sounded very good. I was very impressed. Let's see. Sorry. Again, they went on about some of the social justice issues. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, they're using the city of Oakland, one of the communities they're using for their proposed action, city of Oakland. And they are looking at trying to get some support for the city to pay for travel for someone. And I thought that if we had anybody that's ends up at our event that needs travel support, that we might think in the same terms. I think that's, to me, that was pretty much the more, the other thing was that there were issues involving their working groups, not having quorums again, particularly the waste reduction group, and they just voted to put that working group on hold for now to kind of put it in mothballs. And the other working group pretty much didn't meet or didn't have quorums. So that was basically their meeting.
Thank you for that report, John. The next working group would be ERAF. Dave, did they meet?
As I've said before, ERAC meets every 2 months, and our next meeting will be August 11th. So nothing to report about ERAC right now.
Okay. I believe the MPO is also Andrew's group.
Yes.
Let's see, we can do Friends of Lake Monroe.
Yeah, as we've talked about before, they are in the stage of finishing out a 2-year research program of getting data on what's going on around the watershed and figuring out what the main issues are. And then we'll be putting in the grant proposal to try to get another 2-year support to find ways of trying to fix the problems. So the next meeting of Friends of Lake Monroe Steering Committee is this coming Monday at 3 o'clock. So that's about all I have to say right now.
Yes, Dana.
Yeah, I don't know actually who to ask this question, so I'll ask Dave since he is one of the Friends of Lake Monroe. Are there any plans in place for how we would respond should Indianapolis make a bid to use Lake Monroe as their water supply?
This is something that Sherry Mitchell, who's the head of Friends of Lake Monroe, has talked about. I don't know that there are things we can do, but we've complained, I think, to the core that that ought not to happen. And
I don't know if that'll do any good, but.
Right. I don't know that there's
So
much we can do.
Okay, well, that's interesting. All right.
Yeah.
And one thing Sherry said that might work in our favor is that in an extreme drought, there might not be enough water to fully supply Bloomington at our normal usage. So adding Indianapolis to it could really complicate that.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
I mean, I think that's an issue that we really actually ought to think about now.
Well, I think it's being thought about. Right. And of course, it's not just Bloomington that gets water out of Monroe, but a few other water supplies around as well. So.
Yeah, approaching it, the aspect of water security for Bloomington, maybe, like you said, could have.
Who is speaking?
This is Sam. I was saying it could be more well received if we approach it from perspective of water security for Bloomington versus
Right.
explicitly being against Indianapolis taking it.
Right. But that's what motivates my question.
I guess one other thing to interject is the fact that to build a pipeline, 50 miles worth of pipeline, would be pretty expensive. And again, with climate change, there are so many wild cards. But Indianapolis is definitely going to, considering the age of the reservoirs and the shallow nature of the reservoirs, they have some really to do some planning.
Right.
It'd take an awful lot of energy to pump Indianapolis's water 50 miles as well. So, yeah.
So, so if somebody were interested in finding out what, if any, plans were in place, who would they talk to?
Sherry Mitchell.
Okay.
Sorry,
Or
Sherry.
somebody from utilities.
Really?
Ah, yeah.
City, our city utilities?
Our city utilities. I mean, you know, they're the ones that get the water, our drinking water out of the lake. So I'm sure they have their finger on the pulse.
Okay. Would you, do you have a recommendation?
No, I don't.
Straight to the head.
I would just go straight to Kelson, the director.
Okay.
And
Would there be anybody in Indianapolis that would
Amy, I can send you.
I can't hear anybody.
That
Address.
was my fault. Okay.
I have a question. How about, is there any potential way of getting information out of the Indianapolis or the water people?
Don't know. I mean, you know, you could conceivably ask somebody from the Army Corps of Engineers too. It'll be ultimately up to them.
Well, I'll start with Kelson and see, see what, that's a he, I assume.
Yes, and as I said, Damia, I'll send you Sherry's email address.
Okay.
And you
I just
might
like
as well
to
ask
do
her.
a little bit of fact finding.
I recently read a complaint that that she and some others had submitted to the Corps, and or just a suggestion that it not happen. So
Yeah.
she might send that to you as well.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you, David.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like that'll definitely be a situation to monitor. I guess let's do the last report. MC Iris, Don?
Pretty much the meeting was dominated by talk about their upcoming plant sale, the continuing projects around the community, the grant program, the issues related to the weather that of damaging some of the test plots by trees falls, limb falls, knocking down fences, etc. I apologize, but I'll send the to everyone. I'll just send the minutes from the meeting that Ellen had sent the other day. So I meant to send that. I apologize that I just forgot.
That's all right. I appreciate you sending those out. I enjoyed reading the last one. I'll be awaiting that.
If I could just jump in here and mention a little, just a few more details about the plant sale that Don mentioned. MC Iris is having a native plant sale on September 11th from 9 to 3 at Switchyard Park. Just in case any of you want to go find some native plants to buy, because I know that's not an easy task around here anymore.
That's right.
Yep. I unfortunately will be away for every hour of that, but I'm going to have to send somebody for me because, yeah, I'm interested. So, yep, looking forward to that.
I think I send my wife there. let her pick out some plants.
If that's it from the reports, it looks like we next have discussion from the working group, starting with ECPC. Linda? You are currently muted.
Yes, sorry. We've got a number of cases going to Plan Commission next month. The first one that I'm going to talk about is called the Overlook on 3rd Street. This is on the corner of 46 and 446. We've talked about a number of plans for that area in the past, and none of them have ever came to fruition. But this one is a major site plan, and it will be for 175 unit, not non-student apartments, and a self-storage building. There's about 10 acres there, and it will have 5 multifamily buildings and then the one climate-controlled self-storage building. They haven't mentioned anything about green building, and one of the things that I want to look into a little closer is their impervious surface area, because they are planning underground detention, which sends up a red flag that they might not want enough pervious area, but I don't know that yet. So that's one we'll look at. We'll also look at one called University Properties 6, and that is on the corner of Lincoln and 17th Street. And it's let's see, if you're on 17th Street, across Lincoln used to be a dentist office one way, and to the east is that new really large apartment complex called Evolve. This is also a major site plan for a 4-story residential structure, and they're planning to have 16 units in mixed-use student housing. Currently, there's a small apartment building and a house there, and those will be demolished. And then a 4-story multi-family residential building with a mix of studios and 2-bedroom units. And then there'll be a basement level with just 10 parking spaces. They're planning to remove the entrance, the current entrance on 17th Street, and they'll add an access onto Lincoln. They'll have new tree plots and sidewalks on both Lincoln and 17th Street. The next one, pardon me, is Ivy Chase Subdivision Phase 2. This is down on South Walnut Street Pike. It's a request for a primary plat approval, and they're also asking for the secondary plat. That basically means the first one and the second one, going to staff for approval. I think that that's something that the ECPC will want to look at very closely, because this is a very complicated site.
Where exactly is it on Walnut Street Pike?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Well, I was just curious where exactly on Walnut Street Pike it was.
Well, let's see, the address is 3111 South Walnut Street Pike. And there's housing developments all around it.
Okay.
This is about a little over 10 acres, and it is zoned residential medium lots, which is R2. And they propose to subdivide it into 33 single family lots. This Ivy Chase subdivision has been approved 3 times before in 1998, 2000, and 2006. The phase 1 final plat was recorded in 2008, but it's never been developed. So that means that the primary plat has expired, and they have to get that primary plat reapproved before the next phases can be recorded. So kind of what all that mumbo jumbo means is they'll be following current UDO rules. They'll be requesting 2 waivers, one for cul-de-sacs because it originally was planned with cul-de-sacs, but the lot is riddled with sinkholes. And there aren't any places in the adjacent subdivisions for a street to go through. It would have to go into somebody's backyard. So we don't allow cul-de-sacs anymore, so they'll be asking for a waiver for that. And they're also going to be asking for a waiver from the 50% open space requirement. There's several environmental issues on this one that the ECPC will be looking at. 1 hearing instead of 2, because this is going to be a complicated case. The cul-de-sacs aren't particularly an EC issue, but there's many sinkholes and it's mostly wooded. So
field trip to that one, Linda?
I think that might be a really good idea.
Yeah.
By sinkholes, do you mean like karst terrain?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I know that area really well. I used to be in an apartment practically across the street from there. And even now I'm only about a half mile farther up the road. So I've ridden my bike past it a lot, and it's all trees. So that's going to be a lot of canopy loss.
Right.
Depending on their plans.
So yeah, that one's going to be an issue for the EC. The next one I'm going to talk about is called the Retreat at Switchyard Park. And that's a major site plan in the mixed use corridor. It's at 1730 South Walnut Street, where the old Night Moves used to be. And when I wrote that down, I thought it was really weird because everybody knows where Night Moves used to be, unless you're new to town. And it's like, that is so weird because everybody doesn't know where, the apartment building across from the dentist office used to be. Anyway, the structure will have a commercial space adjacent to Walnut Street. There's going to be 64 units with a mixture of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And there's also a mix of low to moderate income units. And that will include 10 designated for Stonebelt clients. And then there'll be 16 at market rate. There's 75 parking spaces that'll be provided, and that will include 57 garage spaces and 18 surface spaces. They haven't talked about green building at all, but one of the issues for the EC will be pervious surface, because the way they have designed the site, the pervious surface is all in the back adjacent to Switchyard, and some of it is in a floodplain. So they were considering just giving that to Switchyard to take care of. But if they do that, then they won't be meeting their pervious surface coverage. So I'm not sure how that one's going to work out. It's not a crazy request, but we'll have to see how that one shakes out. The next one is Wheeler Mission. And this is over on West Plex Avenue, which is off of West 3rd Street. Right, they have currently have a site there, and there's another building adjacent to their current site that they're wanting to remodel. It's 1.3 acres. It's in the mixed use employment zoning district. And they basically just want to rezone it to mixed use medium scale. And this petitioner operates a supportive housing service. And they have recently acquired the adjacent property with a building on it. So they'd like to expand their services to the new building. However, the ME zoning district, which is what it is now, does not list supportive houses as a permitted use. So they want to rezone it to MM, mixed use medium scale, because it does allow supportive housing. Since it's not, a full developmental change, the property would be brought to limited compliance, and they'd have to follow current standards for landscape and bike parking. It sounds like they're going to actually be taking some concrete out because there's a big giant parking lot that they don't need it to be that big. So that would be a real improvement. And the last one I'm going to talk about is, on Creek's Edge, 2605 Creek's Edge. That is on the corner of Sarah Road and Creek's Edge in the Canada Farm Subdivision, Phase 1. They want to, the request is for a plat amendment. And the amended plat would combine lot 7 and a lot 8 into just one lot, which would be lot 8. Lot 7 right now is only like 0.4 acres, and it has a retention pond on it. And originally, with that development, with that PUD, it was meant to be a common area. However, it's owned by somebody different than the adjacent lot 8. So what the tenants on lot 8 want to do is combine those two lots for two reasons. One, because they have crafted a retention basin operation and maintenance manual. So they will be in charge of maintaining that retention pond, but also they want to put a sign up for the medical office that's on lot 8. They want to put a double-sided freestanding monument sign close to Sarah Road because they have such poor visibility for their medical offices. So basically, to make a long story short, they just want to combine two lots into one. So that is all I've got on the ECPC agenda. And so we'll meet on about those because there's several big issues there. Well, that's it.
Thank you for that, Linda. The that's it is a lot more than we've been used to lately. So
it is. There's been like one thing and two things at a time, and yeah.
Thank you again. Now I guess it's time for an outreach working group update. Ben?
Yeah, so I have some news on the outreach front. Not as much as I was hoping for a few weeks ago, but still some good stuff. This is all up it's unofficial at the moment because we haven't had our outreach working group in a couple weeks. But we'll have our outreach working group on Tuesday, and we'll maybe vote on everything and make sure that everyone's okay with the arrangements that we've made. So the first arrangement that we made is that the venue will now be held at City Council Chambers on September 18th at 1 p.m. That time is up for whatever we want. We can change that because we're going to have the whole chambers for the whole day. So unless during our meeting people are very against that and want to change the venue to an outdoor meeting place, then we can still look into that. It's just much easier to keep it the way it is at the moment. And also cheaper. We don't need to pay any money for fees. If we choose an outdoor venue, we'll also need to pay for that, even though it's not too expensive. But
And
we'll
have projection facilities.
Sorry, say that again.
We'll have projection facilities. We can show PowerPoints or stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and cats also.
Mhm.
I think most people have commented that it's okay that we hold it at the city council chambers. I just want to make sure during our meeting that we really discuss it for sure. I've sent out the emails to our 4 winners, which is Janet McCabe, Dave Rollo, Spencer Gull, and Andrea Webster. So those emails were sent out this morning. We've gotten 1 person has already responded, which is exciting and is willing to participate. Dave Rollo, or no, sorry, not Dave Rollo. Spencer Gull has said that he will be joining. He seemed very enthusiastic about it, and he called it an honor. So that's good news on that front. We'll send probably early next week if we still don't get a response. I'm not 100% sure the Janet McCabe email that I have is being used at the moment. It's just kind of hard to find her real email address, considering that she has a pretty high up position in the administration right now. But I do know there's a number on the website that maybe doesn't go directly to her, but goes to her assistant. So I can call that number next week if she doesn't respond. And then we'll go to the next person on the list that received the highest votes if none of those people respond. And I'll keep you updated on all that stuff next week. I think that's all I have to say about the, and also for Eco Heroes, we're going to be sending out letters to the businesses asking for more money next week. And we're also going to be putting up flyers next week. So we're going to talk a little bit about it during the outreach working group next week. But if you do want to participate in handing out the flyers, which I've already heard from a few people that want to help out, please email me and we'll pick a good date that we can all go out and just layer the town with flyers in an environmentally friendly way, of course. So that's the plan for the outreach working group. With the biodiversity working group, I guess since we've last met, we did have our big meeting of partners. We didn't have as many people as I was hoping come, but all the people that came were incredible, and they sat with us for like an hour and a half or something like that, and gave us some really good advice on how to publicize the habitat connectivity plan, which really got me excited. And I think we have a good groundwork to work on with the habitat connectivity plan right now. I was away on vacation and I had other stuff, so I've just been a little busy, but I'll hopefully get to that either next week. I'll definitely get to it next week, and we can start making the next plan on what we should be doing for the habitat connectivity plan and what we need to do to publicize that project.
Awesome.
And the last thing, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
The last thing is advertisements. I asked about discounts, and Bloom Magazine said they're willing to give a 20% discount from $698. So that is still kind of expensive. And all the other, the Indiana, I forget, I'm blanking on the newspaper name, but I asked them and they said no. And also the HT said no. So that's the deal with that. So still all expensive ventures for advertisements, and maybe we can discuss that during the next outreach working group as well on what we want to do with that following Eco Heroes and also with the 50-year anniversary. That's it. All right.
All right, thank you for both of those updates. It's a lot of exciting news on both the outreach and the biodiversity fronts. The next matter of business was going to be old business. It was going to be Andrew's parking minimums discussion. but without Andrew, we can't really do that. Yes, Don?
Oh, I skipped a line in my notes about Matt Flaherty's remarks, and this one is probably important to note. Since chamber or the council is going to be coming back to be active from their vacation on August 4th, the council is going to be taking up annexation. So that will be probably a very interesting series of meetings as that process gets underway.
All right. Let's see, with the skipping of old business, we'll have to prolong the parking minimums discussion for another meeting, or push it back to another meeting, that is. I'm not aware of any other new business. Linda, is there anything else that needs to find its way onto tonight's schedule?
Not that I know of.
So could you update us, Linda, on the Zoom meeting thing?
Oh, yes. The change was moved back a month, which is obvious by us being on Zoom again tonight. Next month, the plan is for us to meet in person. And so we'll be at City Hall and the Hooker Room again, but we will still have Zoom available for the public and members who can't make it in person. And you might give a look at the resolution that that y'all passed last month, in case you want to tweak that at all.
Okay, yes, Ben, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm still a little confused about how we're gonna be putting this on Zoom. Is someone gonna be videotaping everyone talk every single time, or are we gonna have like just a view of the entire room, and then we'll have like some sort of green screen on? What's the situation?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Ben, because once you get here next week, you're going to learn how to do that.
Okay, awesome. All right.
ITS is actually giving lessons, so to speak,
Okay.
on how to do it in the various rooms. So we'll be doing that one way for our regular monthly meetings in the Hooker Room. And then when we go to the council chambers for Eco Heroes, things will be different in there. So before I went to try to learn how to do this, I wanted to wait till you got in town next week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We need more than just my ears on something like this.
I don't imagine that it'll be super critical that they have a great view of everyone for Zoom in that capacity, just as long as the mic setup is good enough that they can hear what we're saying and publicly raise their hand, and we can keep an eye on the display is probably going to work adequately.
Right. We'll hope so.
Yep, we'll see how that plays out. Without any other new business, that would take us to commissioner announcements. Any commissioners have any announcements tonight before we wrap up our meeting? Yes, Don.
One thing yesterday.
Just a quick.
Yeah, Scott.
Oh no, go ahead. Feel free. I'll go after.
Yeah. Yesterday, I sat in on the environmental working groups meeting on forever chemicals, and I'll send Congresswoman Debbie Dingell with like support letters going to, or comments being sent to, phone calls, etc., to our representative regarding, I don't know how Trey Hollingsworth will be supportive or not, but there's a couple of bills coming up for forever chemical, it's rather nasty chemicals, compounds that don't break down with major health problems. And so the bills are coming up before the House, and so she is seeking support. And I thought this would be something that members of our commission might want to contact Trey Hollingsworth requesting his support for these two bills.
That's about PFAS, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically? Yeah.
Yeah. And I particularly one of the things that might be kind of a significant issue for us is that particularly our fire people are among those that are most impacted by these. And it's basically sounds like a little bit like the Wild West of environmentalism as far as the potential problems with these chemicals.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Scott, you had something you wanted to say next?
Oh yeah, no, just really brief. So we're expanding one of our research programs at the workshop to include environmental and natural resource governance. And our new director of that, Jess Steinberg, is really keen to do a lot more on civic engagement. So that opens the door, I think, for maybe some fun collaborations, even with our new Ostrom Fellows crop starting in August. So as we're discussing, these various initiatives, if anybody can think of, something useful that a couple of, grad students could work on over the course of a term, would love to have those discussions. So I just wanted to flag that.
I think that sounds great. I don't know anything off the top of my head, but I bet between Ben and Linda and anyone else's suggestions, we can probably figure some stuff out.
Yeah,
Ben, were you raising your hand a moment ago? Okay.
sorry, what did you say, Matt?
Oh, I asked if you were raising your hand a moment ago.
Oh, I was actually waving to someone to say goodbye. But if I have the speaker in front of me right now, I just want to say that I'm heading to Bloomington next week, and I can't believe I've been with you all for about a year, and I've never met everyone. So I'm very excited to meet you all next month and talk about environmental issues and hopefully get to know you all. So I'm excited to see you all.
We appreciate all the remote work that you've done thus far, and yeah, I know at least I'm personally looking forward to in-person meetings again. So it'll be good. Dave?
Yeah, I might say that back in the 1970s, a major issue of the Environmental Commission was Westinghouse's PCBs, and we can be happy that that's not much of an issue anymore.
Agreed. Do we have any other commissioner announcements tonight? All right, seeing no further announcements, I would accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here tonight for what was a pretty short meeting. Enjoy the rest of your evening.